Hi, welcome to Sacred Enzyme. I'm Stacy. I hope you're doing well today. So today I want to talk about Lyra, the antiparticle earth, and the grays. So, when I first started talking about the World Mother, she had let me know that Berlin was really, really important to the future of the world. And I have been trying so hard to try to figure out exactly what she's talking about. And I've been getting spoon-fed a little at a time, and I ran across this video the other day and I linked it on my channel, and this guy was reviewing a book that he had read, and it put in all of the pieces of who this group is, where they're at, what happened. I've overcome with chills right now. So, and I'm vibrating all over, because this is it right here, folks. So I want to share with you a story that stretches back to the beginning of human-like civilization in our galaxy, like the very beginning. And I talk about this, I say, you come from the beginning. It not only explains where the grays come from, but why Earth is so important in this moment of ascension. So long ago, in the constellation of Lyra, there was a golden age, and Lyra was the cradle, the womb, where the first human-like civilizations emerged. These beings carried both masculine and feminine codes in perfect balance. Remember, I told you that these beings were light beings, and they were highly evolved beings, and they're like angelics. They didn't have like sex organs. It wasn't about that. They just carried codes. The masculine offering structure, logic, and technology, and the feminine carrying frequency, compassion, and life force. Together they held the divine harmony of creation. But when the wars of Lyra broke out, everything changed. The balance was shattered, and the feminine codes were stripped away in many of the lineages. What remained was a distorted holographic matrix. It became all masculine energy, and it was looping on itself like a cane, bent in two circles. It was chasing its own tail. So, things were still working, but they were not working with a mother principle, and so they could not sustain life. So technology could bend space and time, but it collapsed the beings who used it. So some refugees from Lyra, they fled into the stars. They went to the Pleiades, they went to Sirius, and they went to Aldebaran. And they tell these stories and legends about the story of the seven sisters being chased through the galaxy, right? And they have it in the stars, like the hunter and the bow chasing them. So anyway, it's all in our past. Okay, so they went to the Pleiades, Sirius, and Aldebaran, and others slipped into a mirrored universe. Okay, a mirrored universe. This is the mirrored universe of us. Now, I've talked about Earth, and the World Mother told me that everything is twins. Everything, even us. We have an antiparticle version of us, which is the same structure as us. Okay? All right, so they slipped into a mirrored universe of ours called the antiparticle Earth, and these beings became known as the Dal, D-A-L. Their reality reflected ours, and though it was not their original intention, they became what was called the custodians of Earth's crystalline grid. So for 25,000 years, they have held the Ascension template safe, waiting for the moment when Earth herself could carry them on her own. Okay? So to understand particle and antiparticle Earth, imagine a whale and her calf, okay? This is the analogy that I have. The calf is our Earth, swims pressed up against her mother, right? This is how mother and calf go. They're in together, they're in parallel, they're in unison, right? The baby swims pressed up against her mother, shielded and nourished. The mother, which is antiparticle Earth, carries the codes and the protection until this calf is strong enough to swim out on its own. And this is the role of what the Dal has been doing for us. They're holding the higher template until we're ready. So meanwhile, those who tried to run the masculine-only system fractured themselves, okay? They gained time travel, but the cost was their biology. They lost reproductive capacity. They shrank into fragile forms and became dependent on harvesting others to survive. These are the grays, okay? A collapsed future timeline of humanity, lineage of humanity, born from imbalance, showing us what happens when creation forgets the mother, okay? Here on Earth during the early 20th century, groups like the Thule Society, they started channeling transmissions from Aldebaran, okay? These were the true gifts of guidance. They were blueprints and wisdom. But because the feminine codes had been suppressed, the transmissions could not be received in harmony. Then, when the Germans began experimenting with crude time-bending technology, they reached into a reality where time itself doesn't function the same way. Remember, time as we know it only exists here on 3D Earth. Outside of here, everything is simultaneous. All events exist at once, and beings navigate through resonance, not on clocks, folks. So when the Germans began pushing into time, they accidentally intercepted transmissions, not just from Aldebaran, but from fractured futures. Okay, so the grays themselves. So what began as a higher guidance became scrambled with parasitic echoes from collapsed timelines. So Nazi Germany seized on this. They built machines that worked enough just to open the door and struck bargains with the grays and the reptilians. They gained some power, but at the cost of harvesting agreements and deeper entanglement in these distorted timelines. So they were trying to leap ahead with technology, but yet again without mother codes, that they couldn't stabilize any of this equipment. This is why when Aldebaran gave it to them, they knew that they'd eventually come back and eat their tail, because nothing is going to work without the mother codes. This is why they take people. This is why they take people, because they got to have them, but they don't want them. And then if you have certain genetic backgrounds, they don't want you. This is why they don't want people with dark eyes and dark hair. It's because we carry the mother codes. It's a sure sign that you probably have Lyran ancestry if you have dark hair or dark eyes. Okay, but you're full of the feminine codes. You're carrying the feminine codes. Okay, so this is just a great technology lesson for us, because without the feminine codes, we're going to have this situation going on over and over again. So, you know, it's like we're at the end of the game here. So the grays are living proof of what happens when we forget about mother. And yet, the doll remained with us, holding the grid steady from antiparticle Earth. They've been holding the grid steady for us. They're not parasites. They're our family. They're Lyran kin who chose to keep Earth safe until this very moment. And some of us have been in these genetic lines from Lyra who have soul agreements that we were going to be born into these family lines over and over again to maintain these codes. And a lot of them have been traumatized and fractured by these groups because they don't want us to be here right now doing what we're supposed to be doing in this timeline right now. Folks, keep up the good work. And the doll have remained with us, okay? They're wanting to keep us safe until this moment. And now the calf is growing strong enough to swim on her own. Earth is ready to absorb the crystalline codes directly, to embody her destiny as a child of Lyra. Our role is to remember who we are, to bring the masculine and feminine codes back into balance, to perform the holy marriage, to put on the wedding garment, folks, okay? We're here to live in harmony with the grids, with the water, with the mother. The grays showed us the danger of forgetting. And the doll is showing us the power of holding steady. And Earth herself is now rising, folks. She's ready to step into her destiny. Not through catastrophe, folks. We don't need that. We can do all this work ourselves. But through balance, through us remembering. And remembering with our heart, folks. So with that, it's been 9 minutes. I just wanted to quickly explain everything that I am learning it to be that has to do with who I've been working with in these 4450 future timeline under Greenland, why it's been necessary for me to go through all of these things. We have missions here. Our souls have missions, and we've been caught up in a lot of different things. But, you know, I think that we all probably knew the risk before we incarnated, that it wasn't going to be easy, but it was worth it. It was worth it, right? So it's time for everybody to wake up and come on board, you know. So with that, We're living in the past, present, and the future all at the same time. So don't forget to get outside today. So I'm off to the doctor. So thanks for watching Sacred Enzyme. Have a great day. Bye-bye.